All right, welcome back to the All Automotive Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Clausen. And today we're doing our segment called Ask Matt. We got your questions from all of our social media sites. They're all at All Automotive on Facebook and Instagram, and it's at GeForce Auto on Twitter X or X Twitter, whatever they want to call it now. Elon Musk is not really decided because some things still say Twitter, so I'm not sure. But we'll call it X for now. Anyways, the questions that I'm going to answer for you in the next 30 minutes or so are some questions that I get on a daily basis, and then there are some questions that some people had inquisitive minds and wanted to know things about me and all kinds of other things. So we'll get to everything if I can. If not, we'll have some good content and good conversation. And I thank you all for being here. So let's go. So what one of the questions I got asked today even is like, when's my car going to be done? Matt, hey, when's my car going to be done? That's a common question, and there's several different factors which are involved with what's going on with when your car is going to be done. So let's cover those things. So you're the customer, you come in, and today's Friday. I'm recording this on Friday, and so the customer says, well, I need it back by the end of the day because you guys aren't open on Saturday, and little Johnny's got a soccer game tomorrow morning, and I've got to take him to that game, and I need my car. So, people, tell us when you drop your cars off that you need your car back by a certain time. 5 o'clock, 2 o'clock. There's a deadline. I have to go to work by a certain time. I need it back by tomorrow. So if something that's a Monday drop off and you need it by Wednesday, hey, that's great. We've got 3 days to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So, and we're very transparent. We've got several different ways to contact you. We've got text messaging that we send a text. It's actually from our actual phone number that you call. So if you see that text come through and you are on a smartphone, which most people do, you can respond to that and get back to us and let us know. If something changes during the day, please let us know that as well. I just found out I've got to take Johnny to a soccer game tomorrow morning, and I need my car back by 5 o'clock. At that point, or if it's at that point in the day, let's say it's just after lunchtime and it's 1 o'clock, and we have enough time to get your vehicle done, then we will do so in that amount of time. Just like we had originally stated or promised to you when you dropped your vehicle off in the morning. So there's a lot of different factors that can kind of get into this. And I know people are busy and we all have different things going on, different work schedules and different things that are allowed. And we have some clients that work at the prison and they can't carry their phone in to the prison because that's a rule that none of the employees can carry their phones. So sometimes it's difficult for us to get a hold of you. But if something changes, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can rectify that and also get the idea out and get everything in order to get it back to you if at all possible. If you call at 4:58 and you say you need your car back by the end of the day, that's giving us exactly 32 minutes to figure out what we're doing. Either put your car back together, or at that point we will tell you it is too far apart to do anything to get it back together. This is too short a notice. So at least, be aware that, especially if it's a detailed job and we've told you that there's, 4 to 5 hours to repair your vehicle, and there's two things that we're doing, and it may get done by the end of the day, and that's what we're shooting for. It's important to communicate to us as soon as you know that your schedule has changed and you need your vehicle back. So we will most likely be able to get that done for you in that amount of time. Okay, so the next question is, how come you can't tell me how much it will be without looking at the car? So that's a question that gets asked on a daily or weekly basis. It's because we need to see your car, and especially if it's for something that's a diagnosis or a drivability issue, or it's a thing that we have to drive it, or we have to know what's going on. So it's hard when people call and ask for, yeah, I've got a 2015 Chevrolet Silverado and I need a starter. Okay. Well, here come the questions. And this is how my shop operates, and a lot of other repair facilities operate the same way. Here come all the questions. Why do you think it needs a starter? Well, it wouldn't turn over. Okay, well, there's a lot of different things that could cause your truck not to turn over, sir. The battery could be low. You could have the starter actually could be bad, or you could have a loose battery connection. There's a lot of different things that it could be. And don't get me wrong, folks. It's something that, yeah, we can give you that price on that starter, but you call 5 other shops in the area and you're just looking for a ballpark price. There's 2 different things. And, somebody made the comment to me the other day that it was kind of funny. That's why I'm chuckling. It's, well, how come can't you just give me a ballpark estimate? Well, are you talking a little league ballpark or a major league ballpark? Because if it's a broad thing that we're dealing with here, I could give you that estimate on that starter, and then you get your vehicle here and it's just a loose connection at the negative terminal. Yes, you're going to be happy, but are you going to bring it here because I gave you a $500 estimate on a starter? That's the thing. Our intention is to get your car fixed and as economically as we can and fit everything into your budget. We can't tell you over the phone if that's actually going to fix it. And then, we've crossed that bridge and we've done that before. And this isn't our first person that calls in and wants a price on a starter. Or the other thing that we deal with is, my vehicle is at a shop across town and they're telling me it needs a starter, and how much is that at your shop? So that in itself is a problem as well, because now we have to provide that estimate, and then we feel like we have to be competitive, which is not a bad thing. But if it really doesn't need a starter and you decide to take it out of that shop and tow it over here just because we're less expensive, I'm not so sure that you're doing yourself a favor by yanking it out of a repair facility that already knows what's wrong with it. You just have an objection over the price. That's fine. It's your decision. But that's the other thing that we run into when people call. I feel like that probably 80% of the time, customers and clients aren't telling us the story that, hey, it's at this XYZ shop and they're telling me it's $800 to do the starter. I've got a 2015 Chevy Silverado, and how much is a starter at your place? Okay, well, why? Again, here come all the questions. Well, why does it need a starter? Why do you think it needs a starter? Oh, well, it's at XYZ shop and they're telling me it needs a starter. Oh, okay. So maybe we should get it diagnosed and double check to make sure that that's what it needs, because we can't just take their word for it. Because again, folks, I've been down this road. We've taken some other shop's word for it. The customer decides that, you know what, I don't want them to work on my car. It's your choice. I completely understand. The vehicle shows up. Yep, they told me it needs a starter. You guys put a starter on. Okay, so if we put this starter on and it still doesn't start, we're going to charge you to diagnose it correctly then. Right? Okay, so again, this is a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis. And don't get me wrong, folks, we're not trying to pull extra money out of it. We're trying to get to the bottom of the situation, and we're not guessing. There's no guessing when it comes to repairing your vehicle. We don't guess that this is what's wrong with it. it's electrically, the starter is dead. Yes, it needs a starter. We'll put the starter on. But if that doesn't fix it, you have to be willing to let us diagnose it and go from there. Oh, okay. So, well, how much is the diagnosis at your place? Well, it's this much. And we will accurately tell you that and tell you that for sure. And if we can't get to the bottom of it within that period of time, we will call and say, Mr. Customer, we need this much more time and this much more dollars to get to the bottom of your situation because we've spent all this time checking X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z has proven nothing to us yet. So we need to check A, B, and C now. So this is a really tough situation that we've put ourselves in, and especially with rotating electrical and alternators and starters and that kind of stuff. That's what I mean by rotating electrical. It's never really cut and dry. It always could be something else. There's always a misdiagnosis. There's always somebody out there that's not willing to go that extra mile or take the extra time to do their job correctly to get to the bottom of that situation. And unfortunately, sometimes that happens, and you got to be able to move forward if there's that kind of situation. You know, you get to that situation, and again, we've come to that conclusion that we will diagnose your problem first, and then we'll tell you it needs a starter. And yes, there will be a charge for our diagnosis time, and yes, there will be a charge to put that starter on. And then we will confidently guarantee our work for 3 years or 36,000 miles, whatever it is. We usually offer a lifetime guarantee on our starters and alternators just because that's a little bit of peace of mind for you. You don't have to worry about ever replacing it again. So if it needs to be towed or if it breaks down because of this alternator or because of that starter, we will tow it at no cost to you. We will fix it at our expense, and then we will return it to you in the condition that it was prior to it failing. So that's the other thing you got to ask yourself is folks, tell us what's going on. You know, don't hide things from us thinking that it's going to help you. If you just want a price on a starter, you know, that's fine. Let us know. But my comment would be okay, well, I can give you that price on that starter if that's what's wrong with it. So if that's what's wrong with it, this is what it'll cost, and we can get you in next week, Wednesday or Thursday, or tomorrow, or whatever the day is. So that's another one. So how come you can't give us a price over the phone? It is very, very, very difficult for us to give you a price over the telephone for anything. I mean, you've got a nail in your tire. Well, we don't know where it is in your tire, and it might be on the sidewall, and it's not the tire. It needs a tire. We can't tell that by not looking at it. It's a very hard industry for us to guess at stuff. Because as soon as we guess, you're back in the shop, or you're towed back in, or things go wrong when we guess. There's no guessing. So that's that one. Why can't you tell me how much without seeing it? Well, okay. So there you go. So the other one is that we get often get asked is why
we will be back after a short break.
Hey everybody, Matt here. Wanted to take a minute to talk about our main sponsor, GeForce Automotive. Did you know that they're a certified service center through AutoValue? What does that get you, you say? Well, that gets you 3 years or 36,000 mile warranty on select repairs. Want to know more about that? Visit their website at www.gforceautomotive.net. Click on that banner that says Make an Appointment and make your appointment today. We're proud to have them on board as the main sponsor of the All Automotive podcast. So now let's get back to it. More of the All Automotive podcast. Okay, so the next question for Ask Matt, the segment. This one's about me. So here, get a little bit of insight on your host here. So I was asked by one of my Facebook friends is what do you do to unwind, or what are your hobbies? Well, I tell you, I've rode dirt bikes since I've been 13 years old, and I do that as much as I can. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and it's something that I just really enjoy doing it, and I hope I can continue to do it for a long time coming. You know, got my first motorcycle when I was 12 years old. Unfortunately, that one got wrecked in a accident. And that was when I was 12. It was October 31st. It was Halloween. Yeah. So that was my XR75 was no more. And then when I was 13, got an XR100, rode that thing like into the ground, basically. That was by far my favorite little motorcycle that I had growing up. And then, you know, I rode that a lot. And I rode it so much it smoked so bad that it needed a new cylinder head. And I think I ended up selling it to a guy who was buying it for his young son. It's because I turned 16. So then I didn't ride for quite a while. And then I rode a Husqvarna 125 that I got running. I think I put a piston and ring in it and got it running, and it was relatively inexpensive. And then we used to ride up and down some power lines. Probably shouldn't have been riding up and down some power lines, but we did. And after that, I moved to Michigan in the mid 90s, and was a service advisor at a local GM dealer to me. And became, I was a service advisor. I started as a service advisor, became the service manager. And then my role kind of expanded quite a bit. I was involved quite a bit with the body shop and the parts department, but my main role was the service manager. And along that way, I bought, once I got promoted to the service manager, I found this 87 KX 125, and that was sort of broken down. So I kind of fixed it up. Always had that kind of skill to tinker with things, you know, mechanic. And so I got that running, rode that around. Me and my buddy Bob used to ride around the old Jackson Speedway. And the pavement is still there, by the way. So if you do a aerial shot, a Google shot of Jackson, Michigan, and you search it, you can find the pavement is still there. The pavement is still back in that back area. And we used to ride around that, the pavement, and you could come across the, I'm thinking it was turn 1 and turn 2, which was on the east side of the property, and you could just shoot yourself right off because the banking was pretty steep. This is probably an episode for the lost racetracks or whatever, but you used to be able to shoot yourself across there and get some pretty good height. So after a couple, 3 or 4 years, you know, still working at the dealership, we had a jet ski in the mid 90s, me and Danny, and we rode that quite a bit. And then it was about, 3 or 4 years old. It was 2001. I bought my Kawasaki KLX 300, which I still have that bike, by the way, and I'm the original owner. And then I rode that bike for quite a while. Had that bike, me and my buddy Mike go up north quite often. We try to do twice a year, but he was in a he's in a band, or he was in a band, and they play every weekend. So it was off weekends that we would go riding. Mike is the proud owner of a 98 CR 500. So if you're into that kind of thing. Anyways, so I don't know, it was just before COVID, I think. And I found a guy that was selling, I needed something that was a little faster. And I figured I could make the jump to the 4-stroke race bikes. And, because I was a Honda guy, I found this 2006 CRF 450F and CRF 450R. And it is a fantastic bike. I love that bike. And we ride that quite a bit. So anytime we get the opportunity, that's the bike I choose to go up north with. And it just rocks. I love that bike. And that's, again, that's one of my hobbies. So I thought I'd go through and roll through all that for you. So unfortunately that you got the long story of my dirt biking adventures. So yeah, hobbies. And of course, I'm a mechanic, so I'm fixing up a 1968 Chevy C10. And a little bit of foreshadowing, me and my brother are going to get together for another episode for the Restoration Brothers. And we're going to talk about our projects and what's going on with those. So Delilah, our 1968 step-side long box C10 Chevrolet truck, is in process. So I'm working on that. We did some stuff to the rear ladder bars and some coil springs, and we put some new shocks on it, front and rear. I converted the brakes to disc brakes in the front. And so it's been a fun project. Danny, my wife, has been helping me on this project, and I appreciate that because she's on board with that, and she's happy to help. So those are some of my hobbies. I'm a yard guy too. I really like to have my yard looking nice. I bought a Z-turn mower, and I do that kind of stuff too. But, and the camping with the fam, we got a camper. We do that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of places to go in Michigan, and you'd be surprised how many cool places there are in the great state of Michigan, especially if you're in tune with the up north in the UP kind of thing. I got some fabulous pictures, which I can probably post to my Facebook and Instagram feeds from our trip to Ontogganan in the UP, and it's on Lake Superior, and it's really cool. Got some cool sunset pictures from up there. So that's the question. How are my hobbies? What are my hobbies? Those are at dirt biking, working on my project truck, and camping and doing stuff with the fam. If you know me, this question got asked, and this is another personal question directed toward me is am I a race fan? Yes, I am. So when I first moved up here, my dad's side of the family is from this area, and my cousin raced cars at a local racetrack, Michigan Ideal Speedway, Springport Speedway, whatever you want to call it. I worked there when it was Michigan Ideal Speedway, and I helped my cousin-in-law, Jack, in the tech department, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And, we were the guys that would check the ride height, check the weights, help you out with this, So eventually I got to the one class, we called the iron cars, which were, street tires, mufflers, paint a number on the side of it, put a roll cage in it, put a fuel cell in it, and you're ready to go. So the rule books, we had meetings, and we would discuss the rule books, and we would go from there on how we would proceed with the season. So that was a lot of fun. I did do that for a couple of years. And then whether it's shocking to anybody or not, I was the track announcer for one season. And then the folks that were running that track decided to sell. And then they had their own announcer and their own people. And we were no longer employed at the racetrack at that point. So, yes, I'm a race fan. I'm a local race fan. It's fun to go to the local races. It's fun to get to know those people and see them out and about on their regular journeys. And it's fun to watch the racing as far as short track Saturday night. As far as big time racing, yeah, I'm a NASCAR fan, and I've been a NASCAR fan since the mid 80s, early 80s, when, you know, the Monte Carlos were the thing. And, you know, I owned one of those cars, so that was an easy way for me to be attracted to that sport. You know, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip, you know, all the guys. But I was really, you know, if there's a guy that I was really drawn to, it was Tony Stewart. And I know, you know, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this probably, but I don't care. You know, Tony Stewart was a good guy. Seeing him race, you know, quarter midgets, and then have him go to IndyCar to make the jump to NASCAR. I was super excited in 1999 when he decided to, you know, Joe Gibbs Racing and the orange number 20 Home Depot car. Just was really excited to see him come and do what he did. And I'm still excited to see him, you know, in NHRA Top Fuel, you know, dragster. He's a racer, and that's it. That's one good thing. I mean, he's outspoken. You know, a lot of people didn't care for his style, but, you know, I'm not one to care for Denny Hamlin's style. So let's just leave it at that. So yeah, as far as that, am I a race fan? Yes. Local, big time. And, you know, and recently I've gotten into F1. It's really cool, the difference in the way that those cars are put together. And, you know, they got the Netflix series, and it's really very, very interesting if you're into that kind of thing, open wheel kind of thing. So there you go. So a couple of questions on that. As far as another question that gets asked to me quite often, is what is the strangest situation that you've dealt with as a repair shop owner? Well, a couple episodes back, I had that episode on, is your car repair facility, do they know what they're doing? Are they reputable? The one where this shop, not to be named, had put an engine in this customer's car, and it subsequently failed, and put another one in. Not sure if that one actually made it in it. Tried to warranty that one for another one. Had her car all tore apart, had it for several months. And just imagine that. How can you be, you know, how could, especially this lady, she couldn't be without her car. She lost her job. She lost her job because he had her car and she couldn't go to work. And, you know, we all don't have a network of people, and she had her mother, and her mother is still working, and her mother did a tremendous job trying to keep her daughter employed to and from work. And, you know, it was just over and over. So this situation where he'd put 3 engines in it, had it all tore apart, and he had overextended himself with that particular parts store. And this was just a mess. So this lady's mother came in to me and, were we willing to look at this car? And I just like, okay, yeah, sure. We'll take it on. You know, it doesn't didn't sound like it was too much of an issue. So we explained to her, we got to do our due diligence and diagnose it. And if all the parts are here, we'll put it back together and do our diagnosis. And it apparently was misfiring on cylinder number 3, and gee whiz, they couldn't figure out what it was. And so come to find out that it was actually the engine's manufacturer's fault that it was missing on cylinder number 3, but they had pulled the plug on sending another engine because they didn't get paid for the other 2. And then come to find out that one of those engines that was supposed to go in her vehicle went into some other vehicle, and that vehicle got flipped. So there was a lot of shady things going on not on our end, but we were, obviously batting cleanup and being the hero on this whole deal. And so come to find out it was, the engine was the issue, and we had an engine that we had overhauled ourselves and had on the side because we had done quite a few of these. Engines were failing quite quickly on us, and we had the opportunity to get a usable core, so we overhauled it ourselves, and we had it there for a situation if it arose, and we had it there. So worked out a deal with this customer to put that particular engine in this vehicle, and it was done and gone. But that's one of the weirdest situations that I've been involved with as far as what's gone on prior to us getting it. And then we, kind of exhausted our resources trying to figure it out. And then we finally got to the bottom of it, and it was an issue with the way they had bored the cylinder in number 3. They had bored it too large, and it was causing a low RPM misfire, low compression kind of deal. And, it's ultimately we put our remanufactured engine into it and got the customer's daughter on her way. And as a matter of fact, she had stopped by recently and was very vocal with her praise of us and being willing to take on this mess of a situation, and to really be, to not really kind of give myself a pat on the back, but she came in with a truckload of cookies, and a very nice gesture, was very vocal with my staff and myself as far as thank you for helping us out. And she did ultimately take that other repair facility to court and won. So she was pleased with that, and she's just like, I'm so glad that this situation is finally over with. So that's probably one of the weirdest things that I've ever been involved with. And so there you go. There's the segment on Ask Matt. Hopefully you got some good insight on myself and some other insights on being a better client when it comes to your auto repair facility needs, and as far as bringing your vehicle in for service. So I hope some of my comments have helped. And again, we're out there. Ask questions at any time at All Automotive on Instagram and Facebook. And our Twitter X handle is at GeForce Auto. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the All Automotive Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Clausen, and I'd like to thank everybody who submitted their questions to the Ask Matt segment of this episode. Keep your questions coming in at All Automotive on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be doing this segment on down the road in future episodes, so keep those questions coming in. Until next time, I'm Matt Clausen saying, keep that greasy side down.